Rutgers men's basketball coach who was fired after a video showed him berating and physically attacking his players. Business ethics and employment law expert Dan Eaton from San Diego State is joining us this morning to talk about this issue. Good morning to you.
Good morning, David.
First of all, the man we see there on the tape apologizing doesn't look at all like the man we see on the viral video.
You sort of have this Dr. Jekyll and Coach Hyde thing going on here, and there's a phenomenon in business ethics we call multiple ethical selves. And it's familiar to anyone who realizes that they probably, I hope, act differently in church than they do in a Padres-Dodgers game, or to use a more extreme example, a Chargers-Oakland Raiders game.
Right.
There's a different, the person that you saw there on the tape expressing remorse is quite different from the person we saw on those vile videotapes in practice.
So what should our impression be? Do we feel sorry for this man? Do we sympathize with this man? Or do we look at that viral video and go, wait a minute, this is the real man. This is the true colors coming out.
Well, actually, the interesting thing, David, is that they are both the true person. And it's very interesting. Those were taken before he had his anger management class, the practice videos. I'm hoping he's gotten a lot better since. And another interesting question we have to focus on is what Tim Pernetti, the athletic director, was thinking when he issued the suspension and the fine that he did back last year.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little. Did Pernetti react the way he should have, or do you feel that it should have been handled completely differently?
Well, it's interesting, David. There's another phenomenon in business ethics we call virtue ethics, and in that you ask, well, how will my decision reflect on my character? What would similar peers do in a similar situation? What would my highest role model do? A shortcut in this particular theory is, what would it be like if my decision got out in the national press? Mr. Pernetti is finding that out right now, isn't he? The fact is, maybe if he had gone through some of those steps, he would have reached a rather different decision, although at the time, it seemed like a good idea to him. I saw Mr. Pernetti's defense of his decision, saying, well, we needed to make sure that it was the Rutgers way and so forth. Apparently, he didn't go far enough. And here's another question, David. Would this decision to fire him have happened before the age of social media? That's a very interesting question we simply cannot answer.
Is a university a completely different workplace in the athletics departments across the country than the average workplace? Is there a different standard?
Well, certainly there are a lot of people who think that there are different standards that apply to college athletics. I like to think that they really are not. The values of a university ultimately should transcend all departments. So the idea that there's a double standard in college athletics is probably not fair, although I know there's a lot of chatter on this in the media, and certainly it shouldn't be true. Rutgers happens to be learning this lesson the hard way, that when you deviate from the Rutgers way, the Rutgers values that they hold so dear, there is a price to pay in the public sphere, and it transcends far beyond the borders of New Jersey.
Yeah, I know there's two completely different levels when you compare this to the Sandusky case at Penn State, but similar circumstances as far as what was reported, what was hidden, what the whole mysterious aspect of it all. Are we going to see a different mood now across the nation when it comes to universities because of that case and because of the Rutgers case?
David, we could have had the same conversation back in the Sandusky era and so forth. Understand that you're talking about paragons of virtue. Joe Paterno, remember, was held up as this wonderful role model and so forth. And the question is, will we learn? And I suspect we're going to probably have another situation like this in an age when everything, David, is on camera and can be blasted to ESPN like that.
Right. Thank you very much.
Very nice to see you, David.
Appreciate it. Well, the 12th college